Hello and welcome to another sim flight, FSX sim flight with flight level 180. We have a video today that I've been looking forward to making for some time. The airplane you can see on the screen is the Phenom 100 from FeelThere. It is a Steam add-on product. It is overall very nice. It has some shortcomings that we'll talk about in the video, but I think it's worth purchasing. For those of you that don't own this airplane, you don't actually need to own it to fly this flight. This is a great flight from a learning perspective. You're going to learn a lot about navigating an airplane using the autopilot. And we're going to fly a SID, a standard instrument departure, and we're going to do a standard arrival into our destination airport. There's a lot you're going to learn from going through that unless you're a very experienced flight simulator or an instrument pilot. So I recommend you join us in whatever airplane. You can fly us in a Cessna, you can fly it in a King Air, you can fly it in a Pilatus or a TBM. The major difference is going to be some of the systems are not going to be on those airplanes that are on this airplane, and the airspeeds and altitudes are going to be probably slightly different. But generally it's something you can do. For those of you that are going to fly us to another airplane, the remainder of this video is going to be centered around configuring this Phenom. So getting it started in Windows, getting it installed, which is not as easy as you would think it would be. There's some tricks to it. Looking at the documentation that comes with the airplane, and then we're going to go into the airplane, start it up, taxi it out, and hold short of the runway. So if you're interested in joining us in a different airplane, you don't want all that detail, go ahead and set your startup location at airport is KSDL, runway is going to be runway 3. We're flying actually to Las Vegas. KSDL is in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's about a 200 nautical mile flight. It's going to take us about 55 minutes of airtime. So get your airplane set up, taxi out, and then we'll meet you at the start of video 2 where we'll configure the autopilot and navigation systems, do our takeoff, fly up to our cruising altitude. Once we reach our cruising altitude, we'll stop the video, and then for the third part of the video, we will cruise for a few minutes and then start our descent and do the standard arrival into Las Vegas. So for the rest of you, I will see you in a few minutes. For those of you that are sticking around to learn more about this airplane, let's go ahead and see if we can figure this out. When you actually buy this airplane, it's a Steam airplane, and if you take a look here, this is the Steam page where you buy it. It's the standard price is $25. I think that's completely reasonable. There's a lot you can learn from this airplane. There's a lot of good things that actually come with it, and it's high quality. The obvious competitor to this airplane is the Carenado. There's a Carenado Phenom 100, and looks more or less pretty much the same, but there are some differences in the way the systems works. And there's some limitations to this FeelThere airplane, and there's some serious limitations to the Carenado. I personally prefer this one, but the Carenado has some things going for it. So let's go ahead and see how we actually get this set up. So when you install the airplane in Steam, you end up getting a folder full of introductory flight charts, and you get actually this wonderful manual that comes with the airplane. And let me show you what this looks like. So this is something that just automatically installs on your drive when you install the airplane. It does it quietly. You don't really even know it's there unless you know or you poke around. And it's called the Operations Manual. It's 45 pages long, and it gives you a great amount of data about the airplane. It tells you how to start it up. It tells you about a lot of information about navigation. It walks you through, we'll come back to this, there's checklists, there's emergency procedures, there's V1 speeds, V speeds, and performance information. There's information about the engines. Yeah, it just goes on and on. It's really impressive. But the thing I like the best about it is this. And this is something that I feel every single company that generates an airplane for Flight Simulator or for X-Plane 11 or whatever's out there, they should include something like this because it's great. I learned so much by going through this about the airplane. I learned a lot about navigation from this. Basically, it is the details, the walkthrough of every step you need to do to fly the airplane from KSDL to KLAS. It's very nice. It's 8 pages, and it's detailed, and it's very good. So the downside is there's some tricks to this. First of all, even finding this document is hard to do. So let's show you how to do that. So this is the directory my document was in. It's in C:/SteamLibrary, SteamApps, Common, FSX, DLC, Number, FeelThere Phenom, Intro Flight Charts. It's quite buried quite deep. So what I recommend is go to your SteamApps, Common, FSX folder, and then you go and you search for Phenom. And all the files that are named with Phenom are in there. And what you do is you right-click on the manual, which comes up, and you say Open File Location. And I have a few extra files in here, but most of these are, the PDFs are what come with the actual airplane. So you have the manual, which I just showed you. You have a chart of the airport, and we'll look at all these later. Chart of Scottsdale Airport, a chart of Las Vegas Airport, the Caddy standard arrival, an old chart of that. You have information on the John 1 SID. And this is the standard instrument departure we're flying. So all these things you're going to need and you're going to want to find. Okay. Second challenge. There is a configuration tool that you need to set up with this airplane. And I've seen in the Steam comments, there are a lot of complaints that, oh, we can't find this, we can't find this. It's not good. So I figured out how to do it. And basically what you need to do is you need to go to Steam Tools. You go to Library Tools in your Steam client. So start your Steam client, go to Library Tools, and find in the list the FSX Embraer Phenom 100 configuration tool, which becomes available once you have this airplane installed. And once you get to that, you right-click on it, you say Install. Once it's installed, you right-click and you say Play Game. And let me show you what that looks like. There it is. So this allows you to configure more or less all the configurable items as that you're going to need to set when you fly the airplane. I'm not going to go through all this in detail. Go ahead and copy what I have. Some of the things like sound and joystick and such forth, you can set these as you want, but some of the things you're going to want to, like dark and cold, you're going to want this dark and cold like I'm doing. Okay? So once you've got that done, you hit OK. Now, the next tricky thing. This airplane is, you would think that you go and set everything here and go ahead and hit fly now. That is not the case. What they want you to do is they want you to configure a standard Cessna, like a 172, and actually get that set up. And once you have that set up, you can choose any color. Once you have that set up, then you go into the game with this airplane, then you stop the airplane and you load up the FeelThere Phenom. Very strange, but it is what it is. Set the weather as you want. They recommend just doing no weather at all. Airport name is KSDL. Choose that in the list. Scottsdale there. You want to choose a GA parking spot. I chose this one. Hit OK. And let's see. Time and season, you're going to probably want to do day. I find it very challenging to taxi around the Scottsdale airport. The lighting is not good in this game. You want to go to fuel and payload, change fuel, set it to 50% aside, go to change payload, set your pilot and co-pilot as the passengers. We're flying very light today, and you hit OK, and then we're ready to go. So you go ahead and fly now. If anybody knows why you need to start with the standard Cessna, maybe a developer is watching this video, we'd love to hear in the comments why that's necessary. I find it very strange and a bit awkward. So if you could let us know, that'd be great. Now you notice the simulator is actually paused. We'll unpause and we'll pop down here and turn off the airplane. And once the airplane's fully off, we are going. That's not good. Do we have any noise? Okay, I think we're working okay. Once you have that done, you go to aircraft, select aircraft, scroll down to FeelThere, and choose the livery you want. And let's see what we've got. So first thing you want to do is you want to go and turn on the parking brake. You click here. Is this? There we go. We are paused again. Parking brake is on. And let's see. Yep. So we're good there. So the first thing, the reason we're going to do that is because the GPU, the ground power unit, is not available for about a minute after starting the airplane. That's their attempt to simulate that, you know, just because you get in the airplane doesn't mean the GPU is available. They got to roll it up. So in 1 minute, that will be available. Let's look at the outside. As you can see, it's very pretty. There's a lot of detail here. They have the engine inlet and outlet covers. You can actually see some nice reflections. You can see the pilot in there, and if you look behind the pilot, you can see the co-pilot or the passenger back there. Really nice detail. I think it's very good. Let's go ahead and jump in the airplane. So if you look here, this is nice. On the windscreen, you can actually see the pilot's reflection, and you can just barely see the passenger's reflection. It's a really nice detail. So let's see if our GPU is available yet. There it is, just came on. Click that, now we're running off ground power and we don't have to hurry.
Okay.
If you don't have the GPU connected and you dawdle at all in setting up the airplane, you're running on batteries, it takes a while to, it will actually run out of juice after a while, which is realistic but annoying, so go for the GPU. So to start the airplane, we should probably have turned on the strobe, so let's do that. Basically, you just turn this knob to start. This airplane is so automated and simple to operate. It's amazing. I mean, it's a fast airplane, so you have to be on your game to deal with the speed. But nearly every system, if you look here, nearly every system has an automatic mode. And there's so many things that, you know, that you just don't even need to deal with. It'll tell you when there's problems, and when there's no problems, it'll just sit here quietly. Now, you can see the N1 is spooling up. We're going to be stable around 30. The ITT is coming up. The oil pressure is in the green. It goes green at about 50. Everything is looking good. So next thing we can do is we can start. We're starting to stabilize here. Let's go ahead and start the left engine. So go down here, center mouse button, scroll it to the right, and there we go. The start sequence should go for us. There it goes. Now, if you notice, the glass on the left is not actually connected yet. This is what you see in a real airplane, that it takes a while for the everything to synchronize with the GPS satellites and be up and running. By the time we start taxiing, we should see everything we need. I'm not going to go and configure our flight plan. Typically, that's what we do here at the gate. Get our flight plan loaded, get our initial altitudes loaded, set up the autopilot as much as we can, but given that we're going to take and join the other people who are joining us at video 2, let's do that short of the runway. Let's see, what else do we need to do here? It's one really nice thing about this airplane is things are configured correctly. Like, you know, when you get out of the airplane, you're not going to leave everything set up incorrectly. So you get up, everything is loaded and correct, and we're good to go. Now, airplane, the engines are stable, everything is looking good. One really nice thing about this airplane, and the HEREIN does not do this, is that this airplane has a takeoff config button. And when I think about a Phenom, this is the distinctive feature that I really think about. Like, you know, you think about a Cirrus, you think about a parachute, you think about a Phenom, you think about this button. Doesn't exist in the HEREIN Auto, but here it does exist, and let me show you what it does.
No takeoff, flap. No takeoff, trim. No takeoff, brake.
So we are not configured quite correctly yet. So we have flaps are not set correctly, so let's go to flaps 1. Then we're going to set our trim. And if you look here, the trim is 50, and it's yellow. If we go ahead and pop up to 65, which is the recommended trim level, it's green. So if we hit this, now it's going to say takeoff, or no takeoff because of brake, and that's all, because we configured everything else correctly.
No takeoff, brake.
So really nice. It's a really nice safety feature. It makes the airplane it's for a single pilot, and this is very flyable for a single pilot and an operator. It's a really nice airplane. So we are configured and ready to go. So let's go ahead and turn on our taxi lights. And let's go ahead and taxi out to the runway. And if you look over to the left here, that's the start of runway 3. So we are going to go ahead and do a 360. Going to get our N1 up to about 40%. And that will get us going. Release our brakes. And off we go. You don't want to be running in the 40s for taxiing because you just start going too fast. But somewhere in the mid-30s is very nice. Mid to low 30s. I'm going a little quick there. And looking good. Now, I actually live very close to Scottsdale Airport, and it's funny. It's like you look at this modeling in FSX, and it looks like it's a rural strip with, you know, one building next to it and a couple of hangars. This airport is actually extremely busy. It's got tons of business aircraft and general aviation aircraft, jets everywhere, and the area there's a very large business air park around it. There's buildings everywhere with businesses, a lot of industrial kind of things, a lot of tech. Then outside that, there's homes everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of people in the Scottsdale area, so this representation makes it look like something it's not. I guess that's a limitation of FSX, but anyway, it's always find it a bit funny to actually taxi around this airport and look at the rural nature of what it actually is. So here we are, we're almost to the runway. Let's go ahead and taxi up here. And there we are. Let's go ahead and hit the brakes, put on our parking brake, and let's go ahead and end this video now. That's everything you know to get the airplane started. And the next video, we're going to configure the navigation, the autopilot, do our takeoff, our ascent. We're going to fly the SID for the John 1 SID. We're going to fly up to our cruising altitude, then we'll end the second video, then go to the third video. And see you in a second.